in preparation for the release of The Blood-Dimmed Tide on July 9th. I reread The Judas Blossom, both of which belong to the epic historical fantasy series The Nightingale and the Falcon by Stephen Aryan. For those of you who are curious as to how I discovered this series to begin with, that is because I read and loved The Quest for Heroes duology by that same author, and that put him on my list of authors to watch for new releases. To summarize this series in a nutshell, it's the reimagining of the Mongol Empire's invasion of Persia, following the lives of 4 different people, their paths and their journeys while being in the very heart of this war. Before I get too deep off into talking about my experience with my reread of The Judas Blossom, I do want to mention I will have both of these books linked in the description box down below. Again, a quick little reminder that the second book comes out on July the 9th. I'll also go ahead and link my non-spoiler written reviews for the duology that led me to this series if you're interested in checking that out. In addition, I will have Stephen Aryan's website linked below if you would like to learn more about him as an author. Check out some of his other written work. He's got at least 2 other series that I can think of off the top of my head, which are on my TBR to get to, hopefully sooner rather than later. In addition to appealing to fantasy readers, I really think history buffs would get a lot of enjoyment out of this story. It picks up in 1260 Persia. Due to the efforts of Genghis Khan, the Mongol Empire covers a vast majority of the known world at this time. One of the 4 perspectives that the Judas Blossom includes in its pages is Hulagu Khan, which is the grandson of Genghis Khan. Hulagu, being the ruler of the Ilkhanate, has decided he's going to take up this dream of his grandfather. He wants to continue it and further it by creating a single empire to cover the known world. You may be asking, well, how does he expect to do that? Simple. Violence. What appealed to me so much about Hulagu's POV is the fact that, like any really good villain, he doesn't see himself as a villain. And to use Hulagu as a segue to our next point of view, it's of one of his sons, Temujin Khan. Temujin is this book's underdog. He's struggling to find a place somewhere he can be of use to his father. He's tried many different roles and he's failed at all of them. Maybe failed's the wrong word. He didn't live up to his father's expectation of him in that role. That's probably a better way to describe it. Hulagu has decided he is going to put Temujin in the front lines to make him fight. He's determined he's going to make a warrior out of this kid or let him be killed in the process, ridding him of the problem either way. Temujin was my favorite character the first time I read this book. I was curious if he was going to remain my favorite for the second time I read it, and he absolutely did. I would love to tell you why, but I can't. It's spoilers, and I'm not going to touch on it at all or even hint at why I love it so much, because I just would not want to give that away for anybody that hasn't read this book yet. Our third perspective belongs to the Blue Princess Kokujin, whose entire tribe has been wiped out by Hulagu. She is literally the last living member of her tribe. Where we meet her in the story is when she's being presented to Hulagu as yet another one of his wives. Wives. You heard me correctly. Hulagu promptly forgets about her. She's left alone. What I love about Kokujin more than the other characters, the real historical figure, this princess who was given to the Khan as a wife, she only lived 3 years and died mysteriously. No one knows why. So that allows Stephen Aryan to take a lot of liberties and get really inventive with her plotline, which he does. I love watching this character find purpose and meaning in her life, and it was just as good the second time as it was the first. Our last point of view belongs to Kayvan, a Persian war general, the last war general I believe that was left alive. He accidentally saves the life of Hulagu Khan. Kayvan questions himself. Why did I do that? Why did I step in and save this man? Hulagu massacred the Persians. And he's not stopping there. He is continuing to creep those borders of the Mongol Empire outward. Things take an unexpected turn because Hulagu takes Kayvan into his service. And Kayvan figures out, you know what? I might be able to destroy the Ilkhanate from the inside. having this place of power. One thing that I appreciated as a mature reader, because I have been out of school for a long time. I remember learning about the Mongol Empire, but guys, that's been like 30 years ago since I last looked at that. I love that Stephen Aryan took his time to give readers a brief introduction to the time period, the culture. He did a great job of slowly introducing the characters in the beginning and then just gradually develop them throughout the entire novel. So you're not getting hit with a whole bunch of information about these characters you're expected to learn and then the story goes from there. It's done gradually, it's very well crafted, and he also made sure to carefully explain the historical events that are contained within this book as well. At no time did I feel like anything was rushed too much or was an info dump. It was just really good. Now, for those of you who are thinking, Leslie, you've done a great job telling me about the historical part of this. Where's the fantasy part? Don't worry, there is magic in the Judas Blossom. It's on the lighter side. It's gradually introduced, almost like it's an accident. And the way that it continues to build throughout the book, my prediction is it's really going to pop off in the Blood-Dim Tide. In fact, it's my guess that the Blood-Dim Tide title came from something to do with this magic system. I was not disappointed at all that the magic was on the lighter side. In fact, I think it was an excellent decision on the author's part to do so. The accidental way it was discovered and how it is this person is trying to self-teach how that goes. It's a slow process. I was appreciative of that. There is a cost to this magic. Getting it in small little tantalizing tidbits made it more exciting for me as a reader. To wrap things up, I really enjoyed the Judas Blossom. The first time I read it, I gave it a 5-star rating on Goodreads. When I reread it, I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time. The Judas Blossom is another solid top tier read from Stephen Aryan. I expect that to continue in book 2, which the review will be coming up in the next few days on the channel, so keep your eyes open for that if you want to see, did it suffer from second book syndrome? The author surprised me by dropping the ball. Well, I love it enough to reread both of these books when the third book gets announced to come out. All I can say is stay tuned for the review of the Blood-Dim Tide to find out the fate of this series for me as a reader going forward. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.